All right, here's a couple more review questions. This first one looks like it's a quadratic. You're asked to solve that one. So first thing I would do is try and factor it. So 9k maybe split into 3k and 3k, and 3 would only be 3 and 1, hey? So like 1 and 3, one's minus, one's plus. 9k squared, yeah. Plus 3k minus 9k, that doesn't give to me. Nah. How about maybe 9k and k, and then 3 and 1. Oh yeah, that's it. So a minus here and a plus there. Let's see, 9k squared be minus 27k plus 1k. That gives me the minus 26 and then minus 3. Yeah, that's it right there. Okay, let me erase this stuff. Okay, so now that I've got it factored, then I can use the zero principle. That says something times something else equals 0. One of them's got to be 0. So 9k plus 1 is 0, or k minus 3 equals 0. So in this one, I'll move the 1 to the other side, make it negative, and divide both sides by 9. So there's one answer. On this one, add 3 to both sides. There's the other answer. The other way you could have done that, if factoring, you just couldn't do the factoring thing, is if you're looking for the solutions to a quadratic equation, you can use the quadratic formula. That's a 2 over 2a, a, b, and c, and just plug them in and solve. And you should come up to the same thing. Okay, the next question has to deal with lines, linear functions. They want to know the equation of a line, so I need to have the equation look like this. That goes through this point, and it's parallel to this point. So if it's parallel, it means it has the same slope. So I'm going to take this and manipulate it so that I find out what the slope is. Okay, so I move the 9x to the other side. Then I'll divide everything by 4. So 9 quarters x minus 10 over 4. And what I'm trying to get from here is the slope. So that thing in front there, whatever's in front of the x, is your slope. So that's the slope of this line, and my line is parallel to it, so it has to have the same slope. Okay, so this is the information I have now. I know that the slope of my line is 9 quarters, and I know a point that's on that line is -2 and -12. So given that information, that's 3 pieces of information, and here in my equation, I have 4 variables, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can just plug in 3 things that I know and solve for the 4th one. So the slope is 9 quarters, and x value is -2. Plus, and b I don't know, that's a y-intercept, but the y value I know is -12. Okay, 9 times -2 would be -18 over 4 plus b. Remember, this is over 1, so multiply top, multiply the bottom, equals -12. And then I'll move the 18/4 over to the other side. So it'll be -12 plus 18/4 equals b. -12 plus, this would be 9/2. So that's -12. If you do this on your calculator, I just don't have a calculator. That's the same as 4.5. So -12, I think that's 7.5. -7.5 equals b. So the equation of my line then has to look like this. The slope is 9 quarters x, and the y-intercept is a -7.5, or -15 over 2. Okay, so that'd be my equation. Last question wanted to show you was just how to determine what the equation of this line would be. It looks like a sine graph or a cos graph. I can recognize differences between them because the sine graph starts in the middle here at the origin, goes up, down, and up like that. The cos graph, cos theta, starts at 1 here, comes down, and returns to 1. like that. They do go on forever, but that's sort of, I use the y axis as sort of to determine what kind of a graph I have. Now, this graph here could be either one of these because it could be the sine graph that's been shifted over a little bit, or it could be the cos graph that's been shifted up or down or something. But I typically go with which one requires the least amount of transformations. And this one, the peak, is right there on the y-axis. So I'm going with the cos graph for this one. You could go sine too, but I'd be going with the cos graph. Okay, so if we pick cos theta as our thing, then I notice that this graph is moved down. And so the peak on this one, I don't know if I can do it by the peak. It's best to go by the midline. The midline on this one is the y-axis. It's right there. So the midline for this one looks to be about right there. That's the middle of that graph. And so that's only been moved down 1 unit. So I'd say, just looking at the moving it up or down, that the graph would be like this. It's gone down 1. But then I also notice that this one here goes up to 1 and down to -1. This one seems to go up 2 units and down 2 units. So it looks like the amplitude on this one is 2. So then I'd put a 2 in front. So this is what I'd say is the equation of that graph. Like I say, it could be this graph too, but it would just require more transformations. It would require some kind of a b value in there. All right, hopefully that helps you with those 3 questions.